second part, Chapter 5. After only 1 week of travelling in Scotland, my lord and my lady returned unexpectedly to London, introduced to the mountains and lakes of the Highlands. Her ladyship positively declined to improve her acquaintance with them. When she was asked for her reason, she answered with a Roman brevity, "I have seen Switzerland." For a week more, the newly married couple remained in London in the strictest retirement. On one day in that week, the nurse returned in a state of most uncustomary excitement from an errand on which Agnes had sent her. Passing the door of a fashionable dentist, she had met Lord Montbarry himself just leaving the house. The good woman's report described him with malicious pleasure as looking wretchedly ill. "His cheeks are getting hollow, my dear, and his beard is turning grey. I hope the dentist hurt him." Knowing how heartily her faithful old servant hated the man who had deserted her, Agnes made due allowance for a large infusion of exaggeration in the picture presented to her. The main impression produced on her mind was an impression of nervous uneasiness. If she trusted herself in the streets by daylight, while Lord Montbarry remained in London, how could she be sure that his next chance meeting might not be a meeting with herself? She waited at home, privately ashamed of her own undignified conduct, for the next 2 days. On the 3rd day, the fashionable intelligence of the newspapers announced the departure of Lord and Lady Montbarry for Paris on their way to Italy. Mrs. Ferrari, calling the same evening, informed Agnes that her husband had left her with all reasonable expression of conjugal kindness, his temper being improved by the prospect of going abroad. But one other servant accompanied the travellers, Lady Montbarry's maid, rather a silent, unsociable woman, so far as Emily had heard. Her ladyship's brother, Baron Rivar, was already on the continent. It had been arranged that he was to meet his sister and her husband at Rome. One by one, the dull weeks succeeded each other in the life of Agnes. She faced her position with admirable courage, seeing her friends, keeping herself occupied in her leisure hours with reading and drawing, leaving no means untried of diverting her mind from the melancholy remembrance of the past. But she had loved too faithfully. She had been wounded too deeply to feel in any adequate degree the influence of the moral remedies which she employed. Persons who met with her in the ordinary relations of life, deceived by her outward serenity of manner, agreed that Miss Lockwood seemed to be getting over her disappointment. But an old friend and school companion who happened to see her during a brief visit to London was inexpressibly distressed by the change that she detected in Agnes. This lady was Mrs. Westwick, the wife of that brother of Lord Montbarry who came next him in age, and who was described in the peerage as presumptive heir to the title. He was then away, looking after his interests in some mining property which he possessed in America. Mrs. Westwick insisted on taking Agnes back with her to her home in Ireland. "Come and keep me company while my husband is away. My 3 little girls will make you their playfellow, and the only stranger you will meet is the governess, whom I answer for your liking beforehand. Pack up your things, and I will call for you tomorrow on my way to the train." In those hearty terms the invitation was given. Agnes thankfully accepted it. For 3 happy months she lived under the roof of her friend. The girls hung round her in tears at her departure. The youngest of them wanted to go back with Agnes to London. On the very day when Miss Lockwood returned to London, she was recalled to those associations with the past which she was most anxious to forget. After the first kissings and greetings were over, the old nurse, who had been left in charge at the lodgings, had some startling information to communicate, derived from the courier's wife. "Here has been little Mrs. Ferrari, my dear, in a dreadful state of mind, inquiring when you would be back. Her husband has left Lord Montbarry without a word of warning, and nobody knows what has become of him." Agnes looked at her in astonishment. "Are you sure of what you are saying?" she asked. The nurse was quite sure. "Why, Lord bless you, the news comes from the courier's office in Golden Square, from the secretary, Miss Agnes, the secretary himself." Hearing this, Agnes began to feel alarmed as well as surprised. It was still early in the evening. She at once sent a message to Mrs. Ferrari to say that she had returned. In an hour more, the courier's wife appeared in a state of agitation, which it was not easy to control. Her narrative, when she was at last able to speak connectedly, entirely confirmed the nurse's report of it. After hearing from her husband, with tolerable regularity, from Paris, Rome, and Venice, Emily had twice written to him afterwards and received no reply. Feeling uneasy, she had gone to the office in Golden Square to inquire if he had been heard of there. The post of the morning had brought a letter to the secretary from a courier then at Venice. It contained startling news of Ferrari. His wife had been allowed to take a copy of it, which she now handed to Agnes to read. The writer stated that he had recently arrived in Venice. He had previously heard that Ferrari was with Lord and Lady Montbarry at one of the old Venetian palaces which they had hired for a term. Being a friend of Ferrari, he had gone to pay him a visit. Ringing at the door that opened on the canal, and failing to make anyone hear him, he had gone round to a side entrance opening on one of the narrow lanes of Venice. Here, standing at the door, as if she was waiting for him to try that way next, he found a pale woman with magnificent dark eyes, who proved to be no other than Lady Montbarry herself. She asked in Italian what he wanted. He answered that he wanted to see the courier Ferrari, if it was quite convenient. She at once informed him that Ferrari had left the palace, without assigning any reason, and without even leaving an address at which his monthly salary, then due to him, could be paid. Amazed at this reply, the courier inquired if any person had offended Ferrari or quarrelled with him. The lady answered, "To my knowledge, certainly not. I am Lady Montbarry, and I can positively assure you that Ferrari was treated with the greatest kindness in this house. We are as much astonished as you are at his extraordinary disappearance. If you should hear of him, pray let us know, so that we may at least pay him the money which is due." After one or two more questions, quite readily answered, relating to the date and the time of day at which Ferrari had left the palace, the courier took his leave. He at once entered on the necessary investigations, without the slightest result so far as Ferrari was concerned. Nobody had seen him. Nobody appeared to have been taken into his confidence. Nobody knew anything, that is to say, anything of the slightest importance, even about persons so distinguished as Lord and Lady Montbarry. It was reported that her ladyship's English maid had left her, before the disappearance of Ferrari, to return to her relatives in her own country, and that Lady Montbarry had taken no also had never seen Ferrari, having been summoned to the palace, as his memorandum book showed, at a date subsequent to the courier's disappearance. The doctor described Lord Montbarry's malady as bronchitis. So far, there was no reason to feel any anxiety, though the attack was a sharp one. If alarming symptoms should appear, he had arranged with her ladyship to call in another physician. For the rest, it was impossible to speak too highly of my lady. Night and day, she was at her lord's bedside. With these particulars began and ended the discoveries made by Ferrari's courier friend. The police were on the lookout for the lost man, and that was the only hope which could be held forth for the present to Ferrari's wife. "What do you think of it, miss?" the poor woman asked eagerly. "What would you advise me to do?" Agnes was at a loss how to answer her. It was an effort even to listen to what Emily was saying. The references in the courier's letter to Montbarry, the report of his illness, the melancholy picture of his secluded life, had reopened the old wound. She was not even thinking of the lost Ferrari. Her mind was at Venice, by the sick man's bedside. "I hardly know what to say," she answered. "I have had no experience in serious matters of this kind. Do you think it would help you, miss, if you read my husband's letters to me? There are only 3 of them. They won't take long to read." Agnes compassionately read the letters. They were not written in a very tender tone. "Dear Emily, and yours affectionately." These conventional phrases were the only phrases of endearment which they contained. In the first letter, Lord Montbarry was not very favourably spoken of. "We leave Paris tomorrow. I don't much like my lord. He is proud and cold, and between ourselves, stingy in money matters. I have had to dispute such trifles as a few centimes in the hotel bill, and twice already some sharp remarks have passed between the newly married couple, in consequence of their ladyship's freedom in purchasing pretty tempting things at the shops in Paris. I can't afford it. You must keep to your allowance." She has had to hear those words already. For my part, I like her. She has the nice, easy foreign manners. She talks to me as if I was a human being like herself. The second letter was dated from Rome. "My lord's caprices," Ferrari wrote, "have kept us perpetually on the move. He is becoming incurably restless. I suspect he is uneasy in his mind. Painful recollections, I should say. I find him constantly reading old letters when her ladyship is not present. We were to have stopped at Genoa, but he hurried us on. The same thing at Florence. Here at Rome, my lady insists on resting. Her brother has met us at this place. There has been a quarrel already. The lady's maid tells me, between my lord and the baron. The latter wanted to borrow money of the former. His lordship refused in language which offended Baron Rivar. My lady pacified them and made them shake hands. The third and last letter was from Venice. More of my lord's economy. Instead of staying at the hotel, we have hired a damp, mouldy, rambling old place. My lady insists on having the best suites of rooms wherever we go, and the palace comes cheaper for a 2 months' term. My lord tried to get it for longer. He says the quiet of Venice is good for his nerves, but a foreign speculator has secured the palace and is going to turn it into a hotel. The baron is still with us, and there have been more disagreements about money matters. I don't like the baron, and I don't find the attractions of my lady grow on me. She was much nicer before the baron joined us. My lord is a punctual, satisfy me that she was right. I have seen other things besides, which don't increase my respect for my lady and the Baron. The maid says she means to give warning to leave. She is a respectable British female, and doesn't take things quite so easily as I do. It is a dull life here. No going into company, no company at home. Not a creature sees my lord, not even the consul or the banker. When he goes out, he goes alone, and generally towards nightfall. Indoors, he shuts himself up in his own room with his books, and he sees as little of his wife and the Baron as possible. I fancy things are coming to a crisis here. If my lord's suspicions are once awakened, the consequences will be terrible. Under certain provocations, the noble Montbarry is a man who would stick at nothing. However, the pay is good, and I can't afford to talk of leaving the place like my lady's maid. Agnes handed back the letters, so suggestive of the penalty paid already for his own infatuation with the man who had deserted her, with feelings of shame and distress, which made her no fit counsellor for the helpless woman who depended on her advice. "The one thing I can suggest," she said, after first speaking some kind words of comfort and hope, "is that we should consult a person of greater experience than ours. Suppose I write and ask my lawyer, who is also my friend and trustee, to come and advise us tomorrow, after his business hours." Emily eagerly and gratefully accepted the suggestion. An hour was arranged for the meeting on the next day. The correspondence was left under the care of Agnes, and the courier's wife took her leave. Weary and heart-sick, Agnes lay down on the sofa to rest and compose herself. The careful nurse brought in a reviving cup of tea. Her quaint gossip about herself and her occupations while Agnes had been away acted as a relief to her mistress's overburdened mind. They were still talking quietly when they were startled by a loud knock at the house door. Hurried footsteps ascended the stairs. The door of the sitting-room was thrown open violently. The courier's wife rushed in like a mad woman. "He's dead. They've murdered him." Those wild words were all she could say. She dropped on her knees at the foot of the sofa, held out her hand with something clasped in it, and fell back in a swoon. The nurse, signing to Agnes to open the window, took the necessary measures to restore the fainting woman. "What's this?" she exclaimed. "Here's a letter in her hand. See what it is, miss." The open envelope was addressed, evidently in a feigned handwriting, to Mrs. Ferrari. The postmark was Venice. The contents of the envelope were a sheet of foreign note-paper and a folded enclosure. On the note-paper, one line only was written. It was again in a feigned handwriting, and it contained these words: "To console you for the loss of your husband." Agnes opened the enclosure next. It was a Bank of England note for £1,000. Chapter 6. The next day, the friend and legal adviser of Agnes Lockwood, Mr. Troy, called on her by appointment in the evening. Mrs. Ferrari, still persisting in the conviction of her husband's death, had sufficiently recovered to be present at the consultation. Assisted by Agnes, she told the lawyer the little that was known relating to Ferrari's disappearance, and then produced the correspondence connected with that event. Mr. Troy read, first, the 3 letters addressed by Ferrari to his wife. Secondly, the letter written by Ferrari's courier friend, describing his visit to the palace and his interview with Lady Montbarry. And thirdly, circumstances. Little Mrs. Ferrari, with many domestic merits, was an essentially commonplace woman. Mr. Troy was the last person living who was likely to attract her sympathies. He was the exact opposite of a commonplace man. "She looks very ill, poor thing." In these words, the lawyer opened the business of the evening, referring to Mrs. Ferrari as unceremoniously as if she had been out of the room. "She has suffered a terrible shock," Agnes answered. Mr. Troy turned to Mrs. Ferrari and looked at her again, with the interest due to the victim of a shock. He drummed absently with his fingers on the table. At last he spoke to her. "My good lady, you don't really believe that your husband is dead?" Mrs. Ferrari put her handkerchief to her eyes. The word dead was ineffectual to express her feelings. "Murdered," she said sternly, behind her handkerchief. "Why, and by whom?" Mr. Troy asked. Mrs. Ferrari seemed to have some difficulty in answering. "You have read my husband's letters, sir," she began. "I believe he discovered—" She got as far as that. What did he discover? There are limits to human patience, even the patience of a bereaved wife. This cool question irritated Mrs. Ferrari into expressing herself plainly at last. "He discovered Lady Montbarry and the Baron," she answered with a burst of hysterical vehemence. "The Baron is no more that vile woman's brother than I am. The wickedness of those two wretches came to my poor dear husband's knowledge. The lady's maid left her place on account of it. If Ferrari had gone away too, he would have been alive at this moment. They have killed him. I say they have killed him, to prevent it from getting to Lord Montbarry's ears." So, in short, sharp sentences, and in louder and louder accents, Mrs. Ferrari stated her opinion of the case. Still keeping his own view in reserve, Mr. Troy listened with an expression of satirical approval. "Very strongly stated, Mrs. Ferrari," he said. "You build up your sentences well. You clinch your conclusions in a workmanlike manner. If you had been a man, you would have made a good lawyer. You would have taken juries by the scruff of their necks. Complete the case, my good lady, complete the case. Tell us next who sent you this letter, enclosing the banknote." "The two wretches who murdered Mr. Ferrari would hardly put their hands in their pockets and send you £1,000. Who is it, eh? I see the postmark on the letter is Venice. Have you any friend in that interesting city, with a large heart and a purse to correspond, who has been let into the secret and who wishes to console you anonymously?" It was not easy to reply to this. Mrs. Ferrari began to feel the first inward approaches of something like hatred towards Mr. Troy. "I don't understand you, sir," she answered. "I don't think this is a joking matter." Agnes interfered for the first time. She drew her chair a little nearer to her legal counsellor and friend. "What is the most probable explanation in your opinion?" she asked. "I shall offend Mrs. Ferrari if I tell you," Mr. Troy answered. "No, sir, you won't," cried Mrs. Ferrari, hating Mr. Troy undisguisedly by this time. The lawyer leaned back in his chair. "Very well," he said, in his most good-humoured manner. "Let's have it out. Observe, madam, I don't dispute your view of the position of affairs at the palace in Venice. You have your husband's letters to justify you, and you have also the significant fact that Lady Montbarry's maid did really leave the house. We will say, then, that Lord Montbarry has presumably been made the victim of a foul wrong, that Mr. Ferrari was the first to find it out, and that the guilty I still believe he is keeping out of the way, but I now say he is paid for keeping out of the way, and that banknote there on the table is the price of his absence, sent by the guilty persons to his wife. Mrs. Ferrari's watery grey eyes brightened suddenly. Mrs. Ferrari's dull, drab-coloured complexion became enlivened by a glow of brilliant red. "It's false," she cried. "It's a burning shame to speak of my husband in that way." "I told you I should offend you," said Mr. Troy. Agnes interposed once more, in the interests of peace. She took the offended wife's hand. She appealed to the lawyer to reconsider that side of his theory which reflected harshly on Ferrari. While she was still speaking, the servant interrupted her by entering the room with a visiting card. It was the card of Henry Westwick, and there was an ominous request written on it in pencil. "I bring bad news. Let me see you for a minute downstairs." Agnes immediately left the room. Alone with Mrs. Ferrari, Mr. Troy permitted his natural kindness of heart to show itself on the surface at last. He tried to make his peace with the courier's wife. "You have every claim, my good soul, to resent a reflection cast upon your husband," he began. "I may even say that I respect you for speaking so warmly in his defence. At the same time, remember that I am bound, in such a serious matter as this, to tell you what is really in my mind. I can have no intention of offending you, seeing that I am a total stranger to you and to Mr. Ferrari. £1,000 is a large sum of money, and a poor man may excusably be tempted by it to do nothing worse than to keep out of the way for a while. My only interest, acting on your behalf, is to get at the truth. If you will give me time, I see no reason to despair of finding your husband yet." Ferrari's wife listened without being convinced. Her narrow little mind, filled to its extreme capacity by her unfavourable opinion of Mr. Troy, had no room left for the process of correcting its first impression. "I am much obliged to you, sir," was all she said. Her eyes were more communicative. Her eyes added, in their language, "You may say what you please, I will never forgive you to my dying day." Mr. Troy gave it up. He composedly wheeled his chair around, put his hands in his pockets, and looked out of the window. After an interval of silence, the drawing-room door was opened. Mr. Troy wheeled round again briskly to the table, expecting to see Agnes. To his surprise, there appeared in her place a perfect stranger to him, a gentleman in the prime of life, with a marked expression of pain and embarrassment on his handsome face. He looked at Mr. Troy and bowed gravely. "I am so unfortunate as to have brought news to Miss Agnes Lockwood, which has greatly distressed her," he said. "She has retired to her room. I am requested to make her excuses and to speak to you in her place." Having introduced himself in those terms, he noticed Mrs. Ferrari and held out his hand to her kindly. "It is some years since we last met, Emily," he said. "I am afraid you have almost forgotten the Master Henry of old times." Emily, in some little confusion, made her acknowledgments and begged to know if she could be of any use to Miss Lockwood. The old nurse Stephen, who is now the head of the family, received a telegram 3 days since informing him that alarming symptoms had declared themselves and that a second physician had been called in. He telegraphed back to say that he had left Ireland for London on his way to Venice, and to direct that any further message might be sent to his hotel. The reply came in a second telegram. It announced that Lord Montbarry was in a state of insensibility, and that, in his brief intervals of consciousness, he recognised nobody. My brother was advised to wait in London for later information. The third telegram is now in your hands. That is all I know, up to the present time. Happening to look at the courier's wife, Mr. Troy was struck by the expression of blank fear which showed itself in the woman's face. "Mrs. Ferrari," he said, "have you heard what Mr. Westwick has just told me?" "Every word of it, sir." "Have you any questions to ask?" "No, sir." "You seem to be alarmed," the lawyer persisted. "Is it still about your husband?" "I shall never see my husband again, sir. I have thought so all along, as you know. I feel sure of it now." "Sure of it, after what you have just heard?" "Yes, sir." "Can you tell me why?" "No, sir, it is a feeling I have. I can't tell why." "Oh, a feeling," Mr. Troy repeated, in a tone of compassionate contempt. "When it comes to feelings, my good soul—" He left the sentence unfinished, and rose to take his leave of Mr. Westwick. The truth is, he began to feel puzzled himself, and he did not choose to let Mrs. Ferrari see it. "Accept the expression of my sympathy, sir," he said to Mr. Westwick politely. "I wish you good evening." Henry turned to Mrs. Ferrari as the lawyer closed the door. "I have heard of your trouble, Emily, from Miss Lockwood. Is there anything I can do to help you?" "Nothing, sir, thank you. Perhaps I had better go home after what has happened. I will call tomorrow and see if I can be of any use to Miss Agnes. I am very sorry for her." She stole away with her formal curtsy, her noiseless step, and her obstinate resolution to take the gloomiest view of her husband's case. Henry Westwick looked round him in the solitude of the little drawing-room. There was nothing to keep him in the house, and yet he lingered in it. It was something to be even near Agnes, to see the things belonging to her that were scattered about the room. There in the corner was her chair, with her embroidery on the work-table by its side. On the little easel near the window was her last drawing, not quite finished yet. The book she had been reading lay on the sofa, with her tiny pencil case in it to mark the place at which she had left off. One after another, he looked at the objects that reminded him of the woman whom he loved, took them up tenderly, and laid them down again with a sigh. Ah, how far, how unattainably far from him she was still. She will never forget Montbarry, he thought to himself, as he took up his hat to go. Not one of us feels his death as she feels it. Miserable, miserable wretch, how she loved him. In the street, as Henry closed the house door, he was stopped by a passing acquaintance, a wearisome, inquisitive man, doubly unwelcome to him at that moment. "Sad news, Westwick. This about your brother. Rather an unexpected death, wasn't it? We never heard at the club that Montbarry's lungs were weak. What will the insurance offices do?" Henry started. He had never thought of his brother's life insurance. What could the offices do but pay? A death by bronchitis, certified by 2 physicians, was surely the least disputable of all deaths. "I wish you hadn't put that question into my head," he broke out irritably. "Ah," said his friend, "you think the widow will get the money? So do I. So do I. This is Kate at the Library of Whispers. Thank you so much for listening. I shall see you